Hello, my lovelies, welcome back. I just thought I recorded the full moon video for you, and then I realized I talked for 10 minutes without hitting record. So we are doing this all again. First of all, full moon in Leo, 5 degrees of Leo on the 25th of January. It's always a very odd moon every year because we are in a time where we are much more serious. We are much more focused on, okay, we are having new goals, right? We want to achieve things, we want to do things. So some of us may already have noticed that our New Year's resolutions are, well, not going so well. And others might still be really in it and focused. And then the full moon in Leo happens and it's a fiery moon, right? And we kind of are either fueled by it and we get like a second wind. We are like, yes, right, I want to do it this year. I want to do this and I want to get there and want to achieve this. Or we've already run out of steam and this moon comes in and we are just like, oh no, this is exhausting. There's just too much energy. I don't know what to do. And we fall back into old habits. But we're in Leo, and this full moon is a reminder that things can be looked at from a more playful side, right? You don't have to look at it from a stern and serious perspective. You can look at it from a perspective of, how can I do this in a more playful way? How can I reach my goals in a more playful way? From a heart-centered place, from a more creative self-expression kind of perspective, not from a mental, I have to do it in this certain framework. How can I do it from a core essence? So my message here is, how can you look at your goals for the year in a more playful way, in a way that actually feels fun and exciting, and not just, oh God, I have to do it that way so I can live healthier and I can feel better, and my relationships are going to work better if I do this and that. No, how can you do it from a more authentic place, right? Leo is this authentic essence that we shine into the world. Leo is ruled by the sun, and the moon, the full moon in Leo, is opposing the sun on a full moon. So this is a very fiery fueled moon. On top of it, there is a square to Jupiter, meaning Jupiter is fueling the fire, expanding the fire. And I would ask you to take charge here and use this energy and expand it into the areas that you actually want to grow and move forward. Because there is a lot of energy here, a lot of energy that we can use to move forward. And the extra little sprinkle on this particular full moon in Leo in 2024 is that we have an opposition to Pluto. Remember, Pluto just moved into Aquarius. Now, it happened this past weekend on the 20th, 21st, and now we are on the 25th, right? This full moon is happening on the 25th. However, the moon before it hits the exact degree, the exact full moon degree, is going to be in an exact opposition with Pluto, right? Just a few hours before it is full. What does that mean? It means that the moon in its growing stage, right, in its expanding stage, is meeting Pluto. It's when the energy is building, not when the energy is releasing after the full moon, but when it's building. So this is another marker for you to understand what this Pluto transit into Aquarius, into a new area in your life, in your chart, what this actually means for you. If you didn't get the memo this past weekend when Pluto moved into Aquarius with the sun, if you didn't get the memo then, well, this full moon is going to really hit home and hit hard. And when I say hard, I don't mean necessarily it has to hurt, but hard as in, look, this is what needs to shift and change in your life. This is what needs to transform, right? The full moon is putting a spotlight on that area. So if this area is the sixth house, right? If let's say Pluto moved into your sixth house, well, then your day-to-day routine, your day-to-day life needs to be completely transformed for you to live a more aligned, a fuller, a healthier life, right? That could mean you have to change your diet. You have to change the way you move through your day-to-day life. Maybe you have to change your job. Maybe you have to change how you live on a day-to-day basis. The sixth house is a very big area. So for everyone with a Virgo rising, you know, if Pluto just moved into your sixth house, if you have a Virgo rising, then a lot will change in the next 20 years, a lot. And you probably will not have the full overview of it yet, right? You will not have the full understanding, but you get a good idea what, you know, what to start with. You know, maybe it is your diet, maybe it is your sleeping habits, the way you go to bed, the way you sleep. Maybe you have to change and shift things in that area. And then going forward, you know, we will peel the layers. There will always be another layer. Going forward the next 20 years, you know, you get to improve things. You get to work on things in a different way. Also remember, when I say you are Virgo rising and Pluto moved into your sixth house, I look at it from a whole sign house perspective, right? The one sign occupies one house. Now you may calculate your birth chart in Placidus, and you may be, maybe you're a late rising sign. Let's say, for example, you are a Virgo rising in 25 degrees. Now, if you calculate your chart in Placidus, that means Pluto is still moving through your fifth house. So you're still working on fifth house stuff as well. So you will notice that, yes, there's a slight shift, right? You probably are realizing, well, you know, my eating habits, I'm going to change, you know, maybe I'm going to incorporate more meat again into my diet, maybe, or maybe you want to eat less meat, right? You will notice these slight shifts, but you're still also going to work on your creative self-expression, on the way you, maybe children are still a really big topic for you. So Pluto is still working through parts of your fifth house, and that these workings are going to feel much more psychological. They are not as black and white. Whole sign houses, when we look at things from a whole sign house perspective, we are looking at things from a very basic, very foundational perspective. So we are talking food, we are talking sleep, we are talking, you know, the basic needs we have in life. That is what we see when we look at a chart from a whole sign house perspective. And then when we layer on top Placidus, then we see a more psychological view, right? Things are filled in. I always say whole sign houses are the skeleton. And Placidus, when we look at our chart in a Placidus house, from a Placidus perspective, we fill in the meat, right? We layer in the meat and then the skin on top. So both are very, very important, but we got to start with the basics, right? That's why when I give you your forecast for each month, and when I say this is a forecast for Virgo rising, I look at it from a whole sign house perspective, because it's the basics. It's the foundational stuff that needs to be in place. Because if the foundational stuff is not in place, the other stuff doesn't really matter, right? If you don't have water and food, you can't sustain life. So you need to sustain life before everything else comes into play, right? That's why our needs have to be met before our desires can be met, right? We need to meet our needs, and then our wants and desires, you know, can follow. Because if we don't meet our needs, if we don't have water and food, we basically won't make it very long. We won't last very long. So I want you to look at this full moon from a whole sign house perspective first, to understand the basics, to understand what this full moon truly means. So if you are a Virgo rising, let's just stay with that. This full moon is happening in your 12th house. Now, if you are Virgo rising in a late degree and you look at it from Placidus, this moon will fall into your 11th house. But again, you need to look at it from a 12th house perspective first, and then you can layer in the 11th house understanding, right? What does it mean for me? It's the first full moon that we have this year, and it is a big one. It is a big one because what it fuels, how it highlights your Pluto transformation. Usually, when we talk about the Leo moon, we talk about the lighter stuff. We talk about the more playful stuff. And yes, this certainly is part of it, but it also is going to go deeper, right? It's like the arrow, you're shooting the arrow, and it goes deep into the core, right? Once it hits deep into the core of the Pluto matter in your life, what Pluto wants to transform going forward in your life. So, yeah, like I said in my forecast on Sunday, this is going to be a very, very intense week. Mixed, right? Mixed. We're going to get all the flavors, but we get all the flavors in a very intense way. And specifically, you know, around the time of this full moon, because we're dealing with fire here. We're dealing with Leo fire, and it is fueled, first of all, by Jupiter, that is squaring the full moon, but then also, you know, that Pluto energy. So it's I would say it's not just a double whammy. It's like a triple kind of. We have the full moon energy, we have the Pluto energy, and we're dealing with Jupiter as well. So it's like a triple kind of intensity this week when it comes to the full moon. So yeah, if you have any questions about this full moon, feel free to ask, comment in the comment section. If you want a personal reading, you can book it in, you can click on the link in the description box. And yeah, any other questions, I'm here for you. So enjoy this week, enjoy this full moon. I hope it will help you gain a deeper understanding of the next level transformation in your life. And yeah, I see you in the next video. Bye, my loves. Bye.